Hi, everybody. Welcome into today's show here on JTV. We are through 7 weeks of the high school football season. The conference standings are starting to come together, starting to know the teams that will be in the playoffs or might not make it into the playoffs, including the Wolverines.
Oh, yeah.
You did pick
it.
USC.
I predicted it. But I will let you know this, that for our picks, we're still at the same. I'm still up by 1. Like, our picks, we did differ in them, but it ended up just breaking even at the end. So,
there was a couple high school games I know I got the picks wrong.
Let's go Concord. Let's go.
So we have a lot to get to, so let's get started. High school football week 7. Let's start with, we had several close games. Out of the, let's see, there were 1, 2, 3, 4 games that were 5 games that were one possession games. First, I went to this game. I was at Napoleon Leslie. This was huge because if Leslie wanted to get back into making a weird tiebreaker with Center and Napoleon for the East, they had to win this game. And they had this game. Leslie was up 26-16 at halftime. And Napoleon came back and scored 2 touchdowns in the second half. So now Leslie went from 4-0 to now 4-3. They're out of it with the East. It's
crazy. I cannot believe they had 3 straight losses.
And now they most likely, they'll still be in the playoffs, but they will not host a playoff game either. They are going to have to be road warriors. Leslie quarterback Joel Cranmore, 221 for 2 touchdowns. Xavier Skog, 2 touchdowns rushed for Napoleon. Great win for them. Great second half comeback. And talking with Coach Shell after the game, which we'll see the interview here in a second, but I just wanted to point out, and same thing we talked about with Coach Parker, 4 consistent quarters, finishing games. That's what they're going to have to do against Center this week. They cannot be down big, like 2 possessions like they were to Leslie in the first half, because Center has just scored too many points. But Derek Shell said he had a lot to be proud of from this game and the way his kids fought back and got the win against Leslie. 30-26 over the Blackhawks. Here's Coach Shell after the game.
Coordinator, Coach Blando, he did an amazing job. We were trying to make some adjustments on the fly and at the pace that Leslie goes. It was hard to do that at halftime. It really helped just to have that time to regroup and get everybody on the same page. And once we did that, we were a lot better. The defensively, the adjustments that we made in the second half, and holding a high-powered offense like Leslie scoreless in the second half is huge because they play a similar style of football to Michigan Center. So for our secondary, that's a big win. And from the offensive side of the ball, we're really starting to mesh, and things are looking good, and everybody's rolling on the offensive side of the ball. We're excited about that. This is the kind of game that you look forward to as a coach and as a player. We're playing. It's week 8, and we're playing for our conference championship, or at least the East Side Conference Championship. So those are the kind of moments that you hope as a player and as a coach that you get to coach in and play, and it's going to be special and electric, and we're looking forward to it.
Highlights from that game and more online at jtv.tv. So Napoleon now 5-2, and they go to Michigan Center this week.
I can't wait.
We will have that game live on JTV, and the winner will take the East Division and host the Cascades Championship in Week 9. A huge Cascades West game. I did not expect this. Columbia Central 27, Jonesville 26. Columbia defense, a goal line stand on the last play. Jonesville went down there and scored, and Jonesville decided to go for 2 to win it instead of kicking it to tie, and they got stopped barely in front of the plane.
Columbia Central played an unbelievable game. Unbelievable, dude.
Columbia 27-26. Boston Pilazinski, he's having a heck of a year running the football for Columbia. 156 yards, 3 touchdowns on just 14 carries for 156. And the team rushed for 350 yards overall. See, my watch is like doing the whole show now. It's got like the whole transcript.
Oh,
here.
wow,
It thinks
there you
I'm
go.
talking to him. See, it says on here, Boston Pilazinski's having a heck of a year.
weird.
The team rushed for 350 yards overall in that game against Jonesville. Columbia is now 4-3, and get this, they've worked themselves back in a position where if they win this week and get the win next week, depending on who they play in the crossover, Columbia could be back and make the playoffs.
Wow, good for
They're
them.
4-3. They're only a few spots out of Team 32 to get in. They're 4-3. So if they beat Homer this Friday and Addison upsets Hanover, the chances of that happening are slim. But if it happens, Hanover and Columbia would tie for first place in the West. But I think Hanover would still have the tiebreaker because they beat Columbia. I don't know how the tiebreaker works, so maybe somebody can help us out with that. But this is a very big Week 8 coming up, and a great win for Columbia over Jonesville. I did not expect that.
Not at all.
Addison, speaking of them, they got their first win. Didn't
Doug
expect
was right.
this either.
Doug was right. He picked them.
He was. He actually texted me Saturday morning and said, hey, at least I picked the Addison.
Yeah, that's right.
Game right. Addison 22-7 over Homer, 115 yards and 2 touchdowns on 22 carries for Austin Wilson. Coach Harry Bailey and the Panthers' first win of the year, 1-6, and they travel, like I just mentioned, to Hanover. Addison might have to pull off another huge win to help out Columbia, but it's a tall task against Hanover. They just had a great game against Vandercook. We'll get to that in a minute. One of 2 teams still undefeated in Jackson County is the Springport Spartans. They are now 7-0, as well as Michigan Center. 36-20 over Quincy on Friday. Tucker Wingington's 2 touchdowns for the Spartans. Quarterback Gibson Overweg threw for 98 yards and a touchdown. Overweg now has thrown for 707 yards on the year, 34 of 50 passing on the year. I'd say that's pretty good. You've only thrown 16 incompletions through 7 games. It's only 2 to 3 a game.
That's nuts.
And Springport now averages 33 points a game. So they're 7-0. And they can clinch outright the conference this Friday. They already have at least a share of it. The game we had live on JTV, I was not there. Thank you to Matt Kibbe and Pat O'Dowd. Yeah. Matt Kibbe, the GOAT, for filling in for me. Always appreciate him. 32-28.
This was a game.
Western over Northwest. Northwest had the lead, right? In the first half, they were the better team.
To me, it was looking like Northwest was going to win that game. That's what everything was looking like.
You might have to fill me in a little bit, as I was at Hanover and I was at Napoleon.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I was trying to keep my attention on the game, but the Tigers were going on too, so it was a little tough. But
it was working, but I was watching.
Yeah, I was doing both.
But no, Northwest was up. They looked like definitely the better team through the majority of the game until about some point in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And then they got the stop on 4th down.
I mean, I'll say this. The way that the game started, right, Northwest had the ball, went down the field, kicked a field goal. Then Western got all the way down to the red zone, fumbled. Northwest came all the way down the field, hit a field goal again. So it's like, I think the key to that game were Western stopping them both of those times, because if they wouldn't have done that, that would have been a 14-0 game. That would have been really tough to come back from. So 6-0, a little bit easier, but yeah, man, I mean, like, Western just started rolling. Northwest made a few mistakes at the very end, and it cost them, and it all came down to a 4th down call, and it was a sweep to the left and just couldn't quite get the first down. It was just like a yard or 2 short. It was close.
Yeah, and great games for Northwest for Jeffrey Miller and Roe Dideau, both their running backs.
They look great.
Their quarterback, Gabe Christner, and Dideau's only a freshman, too. So Stafford Newsom's going to have a player for him.
Oh, yeah.
For the next few years. But the Panthers' defense, really the story, especially late in that second half. Jaden Willis, big game for Western, number 21. He ran for 194 and 2 touchdowns, and Brody Parrott scored 2 touchdowns of his own. Carter Fullerton on the Panthers' defense, 13 tackles, and Cole Archer, their anchor on the D-line, number 23, 11 tackles, including 4 for loss. So a great win for the Hunger Bowl and the rivalry at home. And shout out to Max for recruiting the Minions.
That was hilarious. That was hilarious.
He gets better each week.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So shout out to Western and Northwest. That was a great game. We have photos and highlights from that game online at jtv.tv. Lumen Christi improved to 4-3. They beat a Canadian team 34-14. Newmarket Huron Heights. That is north of Toronto. A long bus ride for them to Jackson, Michigan, USA. Titans are now 4-3. They play on Saturday this week. They go up to Traverse City to play a powerhouse. Traverse City, St. Francis, 4-1. Those two teams met twice in the same season just a few years ago when they were both Division 7. Remember, they played at Ford Field, too.
Yeah.
I believe it was 15-12. Something low scoring, and Lumen won the state championship. But really tall task for Lumen on Saturday at 4 o'clock at Traverse City. Long bus ride up there on Saturday for the Titans. But they won 34-14 over Huron Heights. Again, as I mentioned earlier, Springport 7-0, and now Michigan Center 7-0. They beat Grass Lake 46-12 on Grass Lake's Hall of Fame induction night there. They inducted a couple historic baseball teams and some athletes into the GL Hall of Fame. But Michigan Center is now 7-0. Grass Lake really made this an interesting first half. This would have been a shock had it would have stayed. Center had too many penalties in the first half, and Grass Lake just was the better O-line. And they do have a solid O-line. They have a young quarterback and new skill players, and that's where the issue has been for them. But Center 46-12 over Grass Lake. Hayden Henkel continuing to have a year. Get this, 14 of 23, 220 yards, 6 touchdowns,
Wow.
5 of them passing, and only 1 interception. Braylon Brown had 3 touchdowns, too. He caught 2, ran for 1. Jack Lair had 10 tackles as well to lead the Cardinals' defense. They are just on a tear.
This is a special Michigan Center team. Really is.
Well, see what if they can make it back to the semi like the team a few years ago.
That's
And
right.
I think they can.
Yeah.
D5 is tougher because especially they're going to play at some point Romulus or Ann Arbor Gabriel Richard, who has scored even more points than Center has this year. So it's going to feel like an 8-man game when they play each other. Stockbridge, another nice win for them, 20-13 over Maple Valley. Quarterback Noah Sandecki, 2 touchdowns and 165 yards for the Stockbridge Panthers. Hanover Horton getting ready to close out the West Division officially this week. They won at least a share of it on Friday. They beat Vandercook Lake 56-7. I went there before I went to Napoleon Leslie. Devin Bevier, the quarterback, he had 3 touchdowns, including 2 passing. Hanover rarely ever throws the ball, and they had 2 passing touchdowns. J.J. Russ also had 2 touchdowns. Colin Griffiths, Austin Hochter also scored. Adam Lay led the defense with 8 tackles. Hanover now 5-2. They're in the driver's seat for the West, and they can officially lock their spot in the conference title game for the 2nd year in a row against Addison this week. Concord, big, 64-20 over Holgate, Ohio. I will admit, I'm sorry, I picked Holgate.
You did.
This game was at Albion College. This is it was a cool place for them to play. Now, normally 8-man fields, their field dimensions are different. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
Their fields are still 100 yards, obviously, but they're more narrow.
Oh, so the hashes are kind of moved
Right.
in. Okay.
And the sidelines are closer.
Oh, interesting.
But playing at Albion College, they played on a regular field.
Yeah.
So, great win for Concord. They are now 4-3, and they travel to Lenawee Christian this week. That's a tough game for them. But Gavin Risky, 140 yards and 5 touchdowns to lead Concord. Couple of other scores. Manchester, huge, 54-14 over Niles Brandywine. Jackson, just short against Ypsi Lincoln. I did not expect that.
Yeah, they put
to
up a
be
fight.
close. Yeah. 36-32, the Rail Splitters win at home against Jackson. Onsted over Hillsdale, 26-12. Looking at the new playoff projections and who's in the playoffs right now, Michigan Center would play at Ann Arbor Gabriel Richard in the first round, most likely if the season ended today, according to snooze2u.com. They do a great job every week with the projections, so thank you to them. Michigan Center at Gabriel Richard. Now, we know this team can make a deep run in the playoffs. We've seen it. But if they're going to play a team like Richard or Romulus Summit North or just Romulus, it's going to be tough.
It's a tough start.
Because I've looked at their schedule and who they've played. And, I mean, Romulus North has beaten teams like Lincoln King 50-0 win. Redford, a lot to nothing. Like, solid teams. So that's just the hard part about Center being in Division 5. Now, if they were in 6, actually they're probably lucky they're not in 6. They'd have to eventually play Lumen Christi and Ida. But this year's team, I like their chances better anyways. But you get my point, though, is that Division 5, they are going to play tougher opponents. So we'll see how far of a run they make. But that's Division 5. Division 6, Columbia's barely just out right now, but they can get in if they win these last 2 games. But they have to. If they lose one of these, that's it. But Columbia would play Lumen or Napoleon at their place in the first round. Now, a Columbia-Napoleon rivalry game in the playoffs would be good. But Division 6, Lumen now, even though they're 4-3, they have the second most points of anybody in Division 6 in the state. So they have home field advantage again this year all the way through.
I would love to see Lumen
until
Napoleon.
The semi.
I would love to see Lumen Napoleon.
With full house team Napoleon.
Oh, my goodness.
Against the way Lumen has been up and down this year.
Oh,
I think that'd be an interesting matchup.
that'd be the hottest ticket in town, tell you that.
I really don't think it'd be a Lumen runaway like some people
it'd be
would
competitive.
immediately assume.
Yeah.
Because if Napoleon can keep the ball 8-9 minutes a drive and get 3-4 yards at a time and score, who's going to stop that? So at some point we will see Lumen, Napoleon, or Columbia in the playoffs. You will also see Olivet in that mix as well, or Buchanan, which is way down by Indiana and Benton Harbor and down there. And then Division 7, Hanover will host a playoff game, at least the first round, maybe the second, depending on how the points end up shaking out. But now Leslie has to go on the road, and Leslie could play Clinton in the first round. And we just talked with Doug about Clinton and Ottawa, Whiteford, Hudson, and that area, Monroe St. Mary.
And they lost to Riverview.
They did?
They did.
I didn't even know that.
I think it was 17-16 or it was 14-13, one of those
Riverview with the upset?
Riverview got
this
the big win.
This is my raw reaction.
Yeah.
Wow.
Riverview got the big win. Yep.
I did not
Proud
know
of
that.
the Pirates. Should have picked them.
Go Pirates.
Should have picked them. I'm crazy.
Both Pirates won.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Are they also full house T?
Yeah, I don't know what they're running. I got to go read the magazine to figure out what kind of offense they had.
Yeah, I don't have it with me. Overtime plus.
Yeah, that's right.
Go pick it up. Just wow, great! It's great win for Riverview. Anyways, but no, we were talking with Doug though about Clinton and those area teams. That'd be really tough for Leslie. The way their season has been ending, to then have to play Clinton or Monroe St. Mary and Hanover in a playoff run.
Oh man.
Oh, all at their place too, away from them. Brutal. And then Division 8, Springport is going to host at least the first round. That's guaranteed pretty much. Possibly second round if the current projections stay how they are. And Manchester is still in the playoffs. They wouldn't host at all. Although their latest projection from yesterday, besides Hudson, that district isn't very heavy with teams, good teams. So Manchester could host. If they do, it would only be first round. And Manchester could upset Hudson. Chances of that happening are slim because Hudson is just unbelievable. But we could see Springport Manchester in the playoffs.
That'd be fun.
That would be. Coach Pack against his former team. There's a lot of scenarios that could happen. We could go on and on. But just wanted to give you a playoff update and who's in and who's not in right now. So when we come back,
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, I don't blame you. When we come back, it's going to be a hell of a series with the Brewers and the Dodgers.
Glad we're talking about that series.
15 innings.
No, what are you bringing this up for?
And still couldn't do S with it.
I control the break, so I could just cut us to break right now. We don't have to talk about this.
Well, I don't want to come back and do a game recap.
Yeah.
You don't have to apologize, Dan.
Yeah, no, Dan deserves to be upset.
That's okay. I would say the same
Yep,
thing.
that's how I felt.
Plus, we'll have boys soccer districts. The semifinals are Monday and Tuesday this week. And James Franklin got fired.
I knew you were happy.
Oh man, I've been saying
Yeah, you
he
have.
needs to go for a long time. But he doesn't care because you know what?
He's getting paid.
He is getting paid, so it doesn't matter. So we will get to that. Plus, Michigan and Michigan State both losing, and new college football rankings when we come back on JTV. Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you. I didn't thank the Insurance Circle Agency. I have
Gotta
to thank
do
them
that.
now.
Yeah.
Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. Almost on our 100th episode, too, and we're almost on 25 years of JTV coming up. We have some pretty big milestones for the station and for this show. So can't thank the Insurance Circle Agency enough for their support. MyInsuranceCircle.com. It took 15 innings to decide a winner between the Tigers and the Mariners on Friday night. I'm here editing our photo galleries and highlights and our post-game interview that you saw, and I'm listening to the game, and
That's
I
it.
shouldn't have been listening
We
to
can
the
leave
game.
it. We can leave it there.
Dan Dickerson, you didn't have to apologize.
Did you hear it when it happened? Because that would have
No.
been like going into post game.
No,
or something like
I
that. Okay.
closed the tab on my computer probably right after the game was
Yeah.
over, so I just
Oh
missed it.
man.
If I would have heard it live,
Yeah, he would have lost it.
yeah, it would have been like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa,
Oh, yeah.
wait a minute.
I heard about this last night. I didn't know this happened until late last night.
I know you don't want to talk about
I
the Tigers
don't.
because it's frustrating,
It's not frustrating. It's just I'm
disappointed,
Sad. Yeah, I'm sad.
all the above.
Yeah.
We'll go all the above. Any final end of the season?
I'll say
thoughts,
this. I'll keep it to the game.
Takeaways from that game.
We'll talk about end of the season stuff later when we're a little bit further away from it. Takeaways from the season and going into next season, all that. We'll talk about that maybe next few weeks. But with that game, it was one of the best postseason games I've ever seen. It really was.
Regardless of the result, it
Yeah.
was one of the best postseason games ever I could rank. on
Yeah,
my hand.
I mean, great defensive plays. It wasn't like a crazy high-scoring game. Obviously, it was 3-2, but it was defensively an amazing game, an amazingly pitched game, especially with having to bring in starters and all that stuff. Flaherty survived. I couldn't believe it. And it's just, they had the depth in. I couldn't believe that some of their hitters were not hitting because their hitting has been so good that I was surprised that we were able to stop them. But they just have much more depth in their pitching that really led to that. They did a great job with batting against Skubal early, even though they struck out the most times of any team in an elimination game to Skubal. Even though that happened, they got really deep into pitch counts. They did a really good job to be able to get him out of there so he wasn't in there for the 7th, wasn't in there for the 8th, which I felt like as the Tigers kind of needed to do. I wanted us to just go from Skubal to Vest if that was possible. Had to bring in a few other guys, and there you go. That happened. But
you can clearly you can clearly tell our biggest issue there was the depth.
Yeah, I feel
and that's been the story, arguably the biggest story of the whole year.
Yeah.
Other than Skubal, Mize, Flaherty as starting pitchers, Will Vest as a closer. Besides them, who else has stepped up consistently, and who else will be there for us?
We had a couple good, Montero was...
Clearly, we found that out.
Yeah, I mean, Montero was pretty good. Melton pitched extremely well. So we did have some guys, and I don't know, I was pleasantly surprised with how clutch our pitching did come through in that game, but it's just we kind of ran out of guys. And
especially, and I forget what inning it was in, but the Mariners, I think it was either no outs or 1 out, but it was bases loaded, and we were able to get out of it.
Yeah, so it's like but then it's like, you see other times where it's like Baez at the plate, and I'm pretty sure we had runners, it was either bases loaded, or we had runners at the corners, or I think we had runners at the corners, and broken bat. So they were able to flip it to home and get McKinstry out at home. So it was just like ran into those things where it's like, man, we could have, if that was a fly ball, we would have had a run there, and then that whole game could have changed, and we could still be in it right now. So crazy, crazy game. I'll tell you this. I sat there I got home from the football game that we did, got home start of the 8th, I believe. So I was able to watch it. And from the start of the bottom of the 9th to the end of the game, I sat there with the controller in my hand, ready to turn off the TV, thinking like any moment this game could end. And I was just sitting there with my finger on the off button. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And it was
now we're in the 11th.
Oh, dude.
Now we're in the 12th. Now we're in the 13th.
And here's the other screwed up thing.
Now we're in the 15th
Dude,
inning.
I had to edit highlights. Obviously, I could not edit highlights while that game was on. So it's like I'm watching that. Game gets done at 1. I edited the highlights for the game, and we saw the highlights earlier. And then I had to get up at 8 in the morning to go shoot rec football highlights.
I'm so sorry.
Dude, I was dead. And then I had to go back home and go to a party and stuff like that. So it was a 2-hour drive. All that. It was.
Oh, that's a reward.
Yeah, dude. But it was. I was struggling. I think I slept for like 12 hours the next day.
Yeah, and then you slept in. You didn't miss the Broncos Jets game.
No. I caught the tail end of that. That game was bad.
Well, you shouldn't have even tuned into that. That was a bad game. And then, you slept in, woke up in NFL. So there you go.
Yeah, it was a quick weekend. But yeah, last thing I'll say is just, amazing game, disappointing ending. But what are you going to do? That's baseball, and that's why I think baseball is the greatest sport in the world, and it's beautiful and heart-wrenching at the same time. And there's nothing like postseason baseball. That stress that you have, like football goes by pretty quick. So you don't have that time to just sulk, and baseball gives you all that opportunity. And it's just brutal, but unbelievable. I'll never forget that postseason game, though.
I will say, it was even more of an up and down than last season.
Yeah, because it was mostly down and then up last season. This was more kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you start off as hot as we did. Like, a lot of teams cool down. We cool down,
Well, being the best team in all of in all of Major League Baseball, for a couple months at least through July, like the dog days of summer.
Yeah.
The Tigers were still the best team.
Right.
And then you get to the end of August. Really, it was after the All-Star break, but really more consistently bad. The end of August started the downfall major cliff into a really bad September. But then the way the Tigers were able to rally in the last week or two of the season, finally close it out, make it into the playoffs, and still get to a 5th game in the ALDS because of the way the season was going at one point. I'm still proud of the way the team played. Now, had they would have stayed the best team in baseball, this would be a hell of a Tigers-Blue Jays series.
Yeah, but, when you get to the postseason, who knows? Seattle's such a good team. Every time, you got to that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hitters, it was like deadly guys all in a row. So it was tough. I'm happy they got to 5, though.
I'm upset, disappointed, all the above with how the last game went, but not taking anything away, though, from being at one point the best team in baseball to we might not even make the playoffs to still making it a 5th game in the ALDS.
Yeah, be pretty much one swing away from, on multiple occasions, for 6 straight innings, being one swing away from going to ALCS. It was impressive, but yeah, I'm done with talking about the Tigers for right now. Like I said, I've
got some boys soccer better. I need to talk about.
Thank you. I'll feel a lot better in maybe like a few weeks or even maybe a month, and then I can more look at this season as a whole instead of just thinking about this last game.
Now, really quick though, not about the Tigers, but about baseball.
All right.
Dodgers Brewers.
Yeah.
That series, that's going to be a hell of a series.
Oh yeah.
And Ohtani, LA is starting Snell tonight, Monday in Game 1.
That's what I was about to look up.
And they are moving Ohtani to later in the series because this series won't be 4-0 or 4-1. This is going to be for sure 6 games, probably 7 games. I mean, once the Tigers started falling down, the Brewers became the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
They went on that ridiculous winning streak, and then they ended up still winning like 20 out of however many 20-something games.
And in my eyes, the two series I wanted the most was Dodgers-Phillies. We got that. Dodgers won that. And then it would be Dodgers-Brewers. So we have that. And then with how the season wrapped up, everybody really wanted to see Toronto go up against Seattle, and we're getting that now. So it's like kind of, based on how good the teams have been this year.
Do you like Seattle in that series against Toronto?
Seattle's up 1-0, but I still really love Toronto. But we'll see. I think, as much as I'm upset about Seattle beating us and about certain players maybe on that team, I still think it'll be fun whether Seattle or Toronto goes to the World Series. It will be fun to see one of those teams who hasn't won it in a long time have a shot at it. And I'm pretty certain Seattle has never won the World Series. So you have a team that's never won the World Series and a team that last won it in the 90s. So that would be cool. And then on the flip side, you either have the Brewers, who I don't think have ever won it.
They've never won it.
I'm pretty sure they haven't won it.
And then
you have the Dodgers, who, I think a Dodgers series against one of those teams would be so interesting, because you have the team that always wins, or that at least has had all the success recently, against a team that has either never won or hasn't won for, like 30-something years. So I think it'll be a fun, no matter how it shakes out, it'll be a fun World Series. So that's where I'll be excited to watch.
And I hate to make comparisons, but this reminds me of more on like a local level comparing it, because if you think about Grass Lake softball, they've always been like we were saying, same kind of thing. Like Seattle's always been a good team for the most part. The Brewers have been a good team. Toronto's been a good team, but they haven't won anything huge in a long time. Grass Lake was always a good program. But was this the year that this specific team would be the one to win it all?
I mean, this Brewers team,
even Coach Cook said this wouldn't have been this specific team, but it's like Grass Lake, and they played in the state championship against Clare. Clare has always been a team that you throw their name in every year, like a Kansas City or Alabama or the Dodgers. One of those kinds of teams where they're always going to be one of the top two. Lumen Christi. Yeah. So same kind of thing. And that is why that game was such an interesting softball game. Yeah. And it was a close game. And it's just that Grass Lake team was different.
I'll tell you this is the best.
So I think it's going to be a great ALCS and NL World Series.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think this is the best Seattle team I've seen since 2001. I would say
when they won
116 games. 16,
I think. That's still ridiculous.
Oh yeah, still the record now. So it's the best team I've seen. No, it's the best team I've seen since then. They had amazing teams in the '90s with Griffey and Martinez and all those guys. But it's the best team I've ever seen. Seattle team since then. I mean, this Brewers team, they had some great teams when they had Yelich. Before that, when they had Prince Fielder and Braun and all those guys. But this is probably the best Brewers team I've ever seen. And this is at least the best Toronto team I've seen since what would be like 2016, when they had like Donaldson and Bautista and all those guys. So it's like, these are the best versions of those teams.
Prime Kershaw.
Yeah, I mean, like and then you have the Dodgers, who just consistently are good. So it's just like, I think these are, when you look at all of these might be the best versions of these teams we've seen in a long, long time. So that's what makes this series so interesting.
Well, and it helps with the Dodgers having so many good pitchers, too.
I know.
You don't have to start Ohtani in Game 1. If you need to go to a Game 5 or 6, wait to start him until then. Yeah. Because Snell's starting Game 1. You have Sasaki, Yamamoto.
Yeah. And in that game, what would it be?
And then Ohtani.
Well, it's like that Game 4 against the against the Phillies. Yeah, I mean, look at all the Cy Youngs you just named that are on their team. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And it's like they were able to run Sasaki late in that game. They were able to have him come in relief in that last game against the Phillies.
Just have so many good pitchers that could start too. They could throw. Kershaw's, I know he's older now, but still,
they had him in there.
Kershaw's relief. Ohtani could throw relief.
It's crazy. So I think if they get into a dogfight with, like, let's say Seattle makes it, and they get into a dogfight with Seattle, still give the edge to the Dodgers. And right now, I still give the edge to the Dodgers to win it all. But I am going to be rooting for. I hate to say this, but I'll be rooting for either of the AL teams to take it all. My buddy Tyler is a huge Brewers fan, so I know he's trying to root on the Brewers as far as they can go, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah. Okay, now I can get to boys soccer.
Okay.
Boys soccer playoffs semifinals are today, Monday and Tuesday. Columbia taking on Battle Creek Penfield. They will get the winner of Grass Lake versus Center tonight, Monday night. It just started at 7 o'clock, so they're playing as we're talking about it. And then Division 4, Jackson Christian and Lumen's still alive. Jackson High playing Tuesday at Mason, and then Wednesday and Thursday we'll have district finals. So next Monday we'll recap Napoleon Center, we'll recap the boys soccer districts, and we will preview the volleyball playoffs. So look for all the results and photos from the boys soccer online later this week at jtv.tv. When we come back, James Franklin finally got fired, but I don't care. Well, I care. He doesn't care because he's still getting paid $49 million when we come back. Welcome back here on JTV. I've been talking about it for a long time, and it finally happened. It was way too late. About time. James Franklin got canned over the weekend because Penn State is terrible. People are just now realizing that Penn State has never really been that good. I've always said they've never been that good. They were never going to beat Ohio State. They were never going to beat Michigan. They were never going to win a college playoff game. And now they've lost to UCLA and lost big to Oregon. And here we are.
Yep.
But James Franklin doesn't care because he's still getting paid $49 million. So he's basically giving the middle finger to everybody else and saying, I don't care. I'm getting my money and I'm never going to coach again. I've got the money.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, when I heard it, I immediately thought of you, of course, because I knew for a while you've been pitching this. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with Penn State after it.
Maybe they watch our show.
Yeah, there you go. I think this season's probably a loss now with them. I mean, it was already looking grim, but it's definitely a loss for them. But we'll see what they do, who they hire after this. And but hey, you know what? Anybody that gets fired and gets $49 million, you know what? You do you, man. I mean, that's pretty crazy. We've seen it with other coaches in the past, but good for him. I'll say that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find something on this too, but like James Franklin, he's just not the big game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything but that.
That was the big criticism.
Which is, understandable. Between Michigan and Ohio State, he was 4-21. Trying to remember, that's what I was trying to find, but he was 4-20 something against Michigan and Ohio State. Never or only one win against a ranked opponent as being when they were ranked top 10. So he doesn't have a winning record against Michigan, Ohio State, top 10, 5, or 25 opponents. So, and Penn State's one of those programs. It's the expectation is to be a Michigan or Ohio State or a winning program like that. And it just, I don't know why it took this long. He was already 4-28,000 against Michigan and Ohio State, and they're just now letting him go. I'm happy that it happened, but why'd it take so long? It's my only thing.
As a Michigan fan, you shouldn't be happy that it happened because you should be like, yeah, just keep it the same. Just keep it the same and we'll just keep beating you.
Right, but just...
No, I mean, it was the writing on the wall. It's the same thing with Mike McCarthy with the Cowboys, how I looked at it. Like, I was just like, I'm not a fan of the Cowboys at all, but it was one of those things where I'm just like, why is this guy still here? Like, they're not getting it done with him. And obviously... there's a lot of things that go into that.
Well,
but still, I just don't think he was an amazing coach. And I know he coached the Packers for a while, but he had amazing teams with them. And it's just like, on paper, it looked like he had good teams with the Cowboys, but it just wouldn't work.
Yeah, but I don't... I don't think he was.
Not to how good the Packers were.
Yeah, but he
that
wasn't. Mike McCarthy wasn't the issue in Dallas.
I think he was.
They've had good players, yeah, but they're the Cowboys. You know how the season's going to go,
Yeah.
and you know who their GM is,
Right.
So that doesn't help.
Yeah, I still think he's. There's a reason he's
sure
not
they didn't
the
win
head
as many
coach.
games as they needed to. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing with him being fired. I'm just saying he wasn't. The most of that problem was not him. It's just the fact that he was in Dallas, because Dallas is a dumpster fire.
It is. It is.
So, like, if the same thing happened with Matt LaFleur, if Matt LaFleur went to Dallas and had those same teams,
I think he'd figure it out.
the same thing would have happened.
I think you'd figure it out.
I think it's just Dallas.
It could
I don't
be.
want to blame it on
be.
Mike McCarthy.
I put a little.
He
bit
was
of
a
blame
Super
on
Bowl
him.
winning coach.
Yeah, but Mike McCarthy was with like an unbelievable Packers team that had how many Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers on it? Like these Dallas teams had some talent, but definitely not to that level. Like I feel like you could have brought out a lot of
he
coaches
did as much
to coach
as he
that
could
team.
with that organization.
But
at the end of the day, it's still Dallas.
There's a
though.
reason that McCarthy was fired from the Packers, and it was because after that Super Bowl championship, they could never get past the NFC
It's
championship
because
game
our
ever again.
management is terrible. I'm not.
You're part of the management.
Technically, it's a not-for-profit ownership.
Okay, all right.
But as an assistant to the assistant to the
There you go.
assistant, honorary owner, I will say.
I mean, were you happy when McCarthy was fired? Because I think you guys are in a lot better situation with LaFleur than with McCarthy.
Yes and no. At some point, would there have been a change and time will run its course? Yes, and that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, our management has always been the problem. Before Micah Parsons, in between all that team that you mentioned with all those Hall of Famers, that was quite a long stretch in between that and then like the big trade for Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
We never did anything.
Yeah. That's
Our
true.
management never went after anybody to spend the money. We had the money.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the names, the no names we always had on our team. We never paid any of them besides Rodgers and Aaron Jones.
I felt like it only went into the defense for a while. I felt like the offense just was not
and still
supported.
the defense didn't step up in the postseason.
Yeah.
So it's always been our management. That's the problem. GM, the president of the team, they've never been willing to spend the money to go after somebody. That's why when Micah Parsons actually became a Packer, that was the most shocking day, one of the most shocking days of my life.
Yeah.
Literally. Because they've never had the balls to spend any money on anybody good. So the management's been the problem. And same thing with Dallas. Jerry's got money.
Yeah.
He's not using it the right way.
True.
And that's not helping Mike McCarthy's situation. So I'm not fully disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm just saying that most of it's not Mike McCarthy's fault.
Right.
It's just he was in Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I see what you're saying. How do we get here?
Well, we were talking about James Franklin.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Moving on from James Franklin, Michigan and Michigan State both just got embarrassed.
Yeah,
over
that
the
wasn't
weekend.
great.
Michigan played terrible against USC. Michigan State is a joke against UCLA. Jonathan Smith needs to go.
UCLA is rolling. They're rolling.
Nico, baby.
Yeah, they're rolling.
Hey, listen, I hear, if Jonathan Smith gets canned, there's another coach that's looking for a job now.
There you go.
I'm just saying. Could you imagine how pissed Brandon would be if Michigan State hired James
I already
Franklin?
saw things online saying they should. Oh, man.
New college rankings, still Ohio State 1 and Miami 2. That hasn't changed. Indiana now number 3. People were talking about before they weren't anything, and that's what Kurt Signetti said. We haven't been anything. People have been saying, well, what are they going to say about us now?
Impressive showing for them, for sure.
Indiana 3, A&M 4, Ole Miss 5, Oklahoma drops to 14, excuse me. Huge upset loss, by the way, to Texas.
Yeah.
It's Red River, though.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oregon dropped to 8, and 5 new teams are ranked. Texas got back in the rankings. So did USC, and Nebraska is now ranked. Michigan now unranked.
Ugh.
When we come back,
What a transition.
quick update on high school volleyball, and we'll briefly look ahead to the game, Napoleon, Michigan Center, this Friday. Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. I'm David Rice. Quick high school volleyball update. Western, still one of the top teams in Division 2. 29-7-1 record so far this year. Some really good wins, too, on their schedule. Division 4, Concord still in the top 10 at 27-3. And Hanover Horton almost top 5 in Division 3. They're at 28-1-1 this year. They haven't even lost a set, according to MHSA.com. They haven't even lost a set since September 30th against Columbia. They've won every single set since then. Just dominant. So they're a very heavy favorite in their district. Definitely expect them to make a run in the regionals as well. And same thing with Concord and Western. If they both take care of business, we'll see a Columbia Western regional, and that'll be really good too. So quick high school volleyball updates. Districts start in a couple of weeks, Monday, November 3rd. Subscribe to JTV Sports, too, while you're at it, because we've got cross-country conference championships coming up this week. I just mentioned earlier the boys' soccer district finals are happening at the end of the week. We've got football playoffs coming up in a few weeks as well. The selection show will be on Sunday the 26th on NFHS Network, and I'm probably missing stuff, too. Cross-country state finals is November 1st at MIS. So subscribe so you can keep up with everything, because we've got a bunch of stuff happening coming up in the next few weeks with postseason. And live this Friday, I will be back in the booth.
Woo!
Napoleon, I was not going to miss this game. Napoleon at Michigan Center. Winner takes the East. Winner goes to the conference championship. The winner could... Either way, Napoleon or Center against Hanover, both teams looking for their first conference championship in football in a long time. So congrats to Napoleon. Now, Napoleon actually won it a few years back when it was still the crossover with the Big Eight. But then the last couple years after that, they ran into Addison and Coach Lindemann, and those were some really good Addison teams. First initial thoughts, anything on Napoleon Center? I mean, Michigan Center scored a bunch of points, and Napoleon has the ability to score too, but because of what kind of offense it is, they can't score 35, 40, 50 points, though.
Exactly.
So it's going to have to be low scoring, and Napoleon's going to have to score on every single drive and have the ball for 7, 8, 9 minutes.
This is the type of game that I think Napoleon could win, but... we'll find out on Wednesday.
No mistakes, nothing stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pick Michigan Center, just spoiler alert, but I do think Napoleon has a shot at the upset.
Might differ then.
Oh, perfect.
Maybe.
I just can't pick against Michigan Center.
Stay tuned Wednesday.
I don't know if I've picked against them. I think I've only picked against them once, and it was against Leslie. So I think they're an amazing team. I think they can go undefeated, and I think they will, but this is one of those sleeper... You could potentially get a big upset here. And not saying Napoleon isn't at their level. They definitely are. But Michigan Center has just been so unstoppable that it would be an upset for Napoleon to win, especially Napoleon being on the road. But
yeah, and we've seen some really good Napoleon Center games.
Oh, yeah.
Historically. I mentioned it, I think, last week on one of the shows. Remember a few years ago, it was rain, and they played on Saturday.
Yeah, that was
and it was
sick.
like 9-6 or something.
Yep.
It was... I mean, the game was good, but it was also a terrible game at the same time because it was like 9-6, and it came down to an interception.
But that's the type of game that Napoleon will win. So
Michigan Center, it's going to have to be.
And like you said, if Michigan Center puts up points, Napoleon's in big trouble. So I'm just excited. This is one of the most hyped games I've had so far this year. So I'm very excited.
A couple other games that we had in our picks with Doug really quick. Hudson took care of business against Napoleon.
Yep.
Not Napoleon. Clinton.
Clinton.
And obviously Riverview with the huge upset.
Go Pirates.
And there was one other game, and I forgot, and I apologize.
Yeah, it's all good.
we got to go.
Yeah, we got to go anyway.
Thank you, the Insurance Circle Agency. That game will be live Friday at 6:45. Thanks to Minuteman Sewer and Drain, me, Pat O'Dowd, and Dan Gallagher. All three of us back together this week. We will see you Wednesday for the game picks.
Bye-bye.